with the 24-hour news cycle we live in and people like me going on and on day in, day out about all that's wrong in our world, we can all use a little of this every once in a while.
Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth.
For those of us looking for the kind of happiness which makes any of us dance in the street, well, it's not always easy. In fact, the 2016 World Happiness Report, whatever that is, finds we in the U.S. have a way to go to reach the happiness levels of Denmark, Switzerland, Iceland, and 10 other countries which are happier than we are. So I brought in a couple of experts for some tips. Michael Norton, co-author of the book Happy Money, all about how money can buy happiness if you spend it correctly. Michael, nice to see you. He also teaches at Harvard Business School, by the way. Natalie Kogan is founder of a company called Happier, where she's the CHO, otherwise known as, yes, Chief Happiness Officer. Nice to see you too, Natalie.
Thank you.
So we could all use a little bit of a dose. Let's start with some of the Nortonian rules of happiness. The one I like the most.
Nortonian physics is
exactly.
Not as officially.
I love the one that experiences. If you want to buy something for somebody to make them happy, experiences are better than stuff. Why?
Yeah, I mean, if you ask people how do you typically spend your money, just think of your own credit card statement every month. If you went through your credit card statement and you said, what did I spend my money on? All of it is stuff for yourself. It's just junk. We buy ourselves junk all the time. Nothing wrong with that, except when you look at the data, it doesn't make you happy. It's not bad for you to buy stuff. It just doesn't seem to improve your life. We found that when you switch people to experiences, and not just, 4-week vacation,
Trip,
but even
dinner.
Which sounds fabulous.
Yeah.
I'm just
if you can do the 4-week, but even a little lunch out with friends, instead of using that money on stuff, that seems to lead to more reliable
You're nodding your head
happiness.
in agreement. You agree with that one?
Well, because I think at the core to me is we're inherently social beings, right? So whenever we have an experience, I've looked at research, I don't know if you've seen it, that many of the experiences we share. So it's not just that it's not stuff, but it's also with someone else. The number one predictor of how happy someone feels long term is the strength of your relationships. So when we invest money and time in experiences, we're strengthening a relationship.
You don't just mean a partner, you mean friends, all that sort of stuff, right?
Anyone.
Were you the one that said that for every close friend you have or something, it increases your happiness 9%?
I wish I said it because that's a brilliant thing to say.
Who did
but
say
Dr. Christakis, Nikos Christakis, who's actually one of our advisors and a friend, so they did research that showed
9%?
Yes, for every, so including a neighbor or someone you see casually in Whole Foods or another store, any positive person that you interact with frequently increases your chances of being happier because it spreads like a virus.
So don't bowl alone, bowl with other people is the
Yes,
message. I also saw
exactly.
your TED Talk, and you talk
Thank
about
you.
focus on small positive moments. It changes how we feel. What does that
Yes.
mean?
So if you think about it, I call it, it's called gratitude, but it's actually positive priming for your brain. So our brains are conditioned to look out for negative things, danger, rocks falling, wolves chasing us, right? So to conserve energy, the brain puts any small little things on autopilot. It's like we had a great conversation, but if we don't actually stay here and say, hey, we had a really good conversation, the brain almost doesn't register.
Yeah, but how do you do it in the moment? That's
So
like, what does that mean?
You just have to be there, right? So the practice of gratitude is literally taking your brain off of autopilot. So you have to register the moment in some way. And the best way to do it happens to be you can write it down, you can take a photo of it. That's what the Happier app is all about. But the best way to do it is to share it with someone else.
Speaking of someone else, you were one of these give unto others and you'll be happier than doing for yourself.
Sounds like you believe it strongly in that tone of voice.
But isn't that part of your shtick? That's part of your,
Yeah.
I mean, by the way, you have hard research, you guys. This is not
Yeah,
just off the top
of
of your
course.
heads. Why does giving to someone else make me feel happier than, why?
Yeah, I mean, one of the reasons actually is, as Natalie was saying, social connection. So if I buy something for myself, even if it's a great thing, the happiness definitely ends with me because it's just me. If I give you something, number one, I've given you some, if it's a good gift, I've given you some happiness, and maybe I've gotten some happiness from giving it. So even just basic
It has a
math.
multiplier effect.
Exactly.
Essentially, it has a multiplier effect when you share it with someone else.
Does a lot of money do it? You don't think so, right? In and of itself, right?
Giving a lot of money
No,
or having?
a lot of money, making a lot of money.
It doesn't seem like it. In fact,
Why?
we have a new survey of high net worth individuals, up to 10, 20, 30, 50 million in net worth.
Yeah.
They're really not any happier than regular
So
folks.
when do you stop? What's the cutoff point where the happiness quotient sort of levels off? Is there such a number?
Estimates vary widely, but most people think it's, if you thought in your head, what's the number that I'd get to where I'd finally be really happy?
What is it?
People think, like a couple $1 million.
What do you think?
Turns out it's around $80,000, $90,000 a year.
Yeah. It's when your basics are taken care of. I mean, that's the thing. So because we're human beings, right, I always say our curse and our blessing is that we're so adaptable. So any new amount of money, we just get used to it really quickly. Like you think that new car is going to be so amazing. It is for 2 days.
How about societal factors? If you're in a society that has paid parental leave, that takes care of your child, all these kind of does that help or no?
Well, it helps a ton. There was this research that the New York Times wrote about recently, where in the U.S. the gap, the
we did
happiness
this here.
gap,
Yeah, go ahead.
right? The happiness gap between the parents and non-parents is the greatest in the U.S. from any other developed countries. And what they found is it's 2 factors: the expensive childcare and very few sick and paid vacation leaves. And when you account for those 2 factors, the happiness gap would disappear.
How happy are you?
Currently,
Yes.
on a scale from 1 to 82,
Yes.
78.
How about you?
Very specific.
Honestly.
So, no, honestly, so I'd say I look at happiness not as a state, but it's a practice, right? So that's why the company is called Happier. So to me, I'm happier. I'm constantly working on it. But the thing to me is happiness is not a number, sorry.
78,
but
it's a
more,
number.
exactly, it's your number. But it's more of a practice, right? This idea that it's not just a feeling, it's something that you do.
Do you have happy dar? Is there such a thing as happy? Can you tell if someone's happy quickly if you can? Can you?
Do you want us to rate your happiness?
No, I want you to
between
tell
That's
me
the
who's
next
happier.
question.
Is Trump or Clinton happier? Quickly.
Oh, I don't know.
You don't know? Do you know?
I don't know who's happier. I'm going to say, I don't know. It's hard to tell from the outside, right? Because the thing is, we all wear masks, right? There's this great saying I read, not mine, from a great spiritual author that said, we're born as souls and then we start playing roles. We all play a lot of roles in our lives.
You
So
know
it's
when I'm
really hard to
happiest when
tell.
I'm wearing a mask. I love that look, by
That's
the
right.
way.
Well, if this is the one, you're
Michael,
smiling
it's
great.
great to see you.
Great
Thank
to
you
see
so
you.
much, Natalie. It's great to see
Thank
you,
you.
too. Thank you
Thanks.
both. I appreciate it.